Hi, and welcome back to Musicians Edition Practice with me for Alto Saxophone. I'm your teacher, Reesa, and today we're finally hitting the Standard of Excellence Book 3. I thought I'd match the green and green. All right, so today we're on page 2. We're just having a review, okay? So we're going to be looking at the G major key signature, as you can see on the top, which means we're only going to be dealing with the F sharp for now. All right, and thing on the top here is talking about a style, which we'll see simile, which means to continue playing in the same manner. We'll kind of go over that as we see it. So let's take a look at exercise 1, warm up band arrangement. Okay, so we would be playing with the whole entire concert band here, but it's just you and me today, which is fine. It's good to know our parts, right? We can see it's divided up. Okay, we're gonna play together at first, and then we're going to play together. So something I want to start getting us into the habit to now, which we haven't talked about or worked on in any of our practices, is being in tune. All right, now I do have the habit, I'm not gonna lie, I have the habit of doing these lessons without tuning my saxophone first, but I need to change that. We need to be in tune now, okay? Because this warm-up is to get our ears in tune as well. Not just our instruments, but our ears as well. So I'm pulling out my tuner here. And since I've never mentioned it, I'm going to act like you don't know how to tune your instrument too. So here I have the Korg tuner, the TM60. I really like this tuner, but there are other tuners out there. This isn't the only one. So make sure you have a tuner. I like using these. Your phone, there's apps for your phone too. I don't like using my phone because the next thing I know, I'm on social media. I gotta separate them. All right, so for this tuner here, it has, and most tuners too, they'll show you flats, naturals, and sharps, okay? And then it has this thing here in the middle that kind of tells you where your tone is at. So we just need to make sure that it is in the green. As you can see, even as I'm talking, you want the green light on for your notes, okay? So let's go ahead and do that together here. I have my tuner out, and if you need to take more time to tune your saxophone, I mean, by all means, pause the video, tune your saxophone, and then come back. All right, so we're gonna tone to the note G for us. My tuner shows up pretty good. That's pretty rare. I know I have to push my mouthpiece in pretty far. Okay, so mine showed in tune. So make sure when you're tuning that it shows in tune as well, okay? And this will help us a lot as we go through, okay? I'm gonna actually keep this on because I'm gonna use it for this warm-up, okay? We wanna make sure we stay in tune. We wanna make sure our mouth, our instruments, our ears are all warmed up. Okay, so let's start with the bottom part, okay? Let's see, and the book wants us to plan where to take breaths, okay? Now, phrasing usually is 4 to 8 measures. Just for this start of this warm-up, let's do a breath every 2, okay? I really want us listening. I want us listening more than our breathing this go around. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, excellent job. So a good thing to kind of do is I have my tuner on the side here, and when I'm playing, I can kind of see where I'm at in tuning, okay? Because your tone can change depending on like how much you're kind of clamping down on your reed or where you're at on your mouthpiece. All right, so if I'm further in, my tuner shows a little bit sharp. If I pull it further out, now it shows better. If I, Oh, I guess I should mention too. Forgot to mention, if your tuner is showing flat, you need to pull your mouthpiece out. If it's showing sharp, you need to push it in. Okay, so just adjust the mouthpiece on the cork where it needs to go, whether it's out or in. Okay? And then once again, if you're clamping down harder, it can change from sharp to flat. There's just a lot of variables. So when focusing on intonation, kind of need to pay attention to that a little bit. All right. So I'm not going to get too distracted with the tuning now. Because another thing is, too, you have to learn how to be in tune with each other without the tuners as well. So if we were playing a duet, you know, we're both not going to have our tuners out and try to adjust every time. Kind of just have to really use our ears, okay? All right, let's do it again. And this time, let's maybe breathe every 4 measures. Once again, I'm not so worried about the breathing here. More about just listening. All right, both on bottom part. And make sure you're doing the articulations, right? So we're gonna just tongue coming into each measure. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, excellent job. Okay, this time I want you to still play on the bottom part. I'm gonna play the top part. Really listen to where the intonation is. Are you sharp? Are you flat? How do you need to adjust? Are you there? Those are the kind of things I want you to listen for, okay? All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, excellent job. So a thing you should have noticed is that our last half note, we're playing the same note, okay? So are they landing on the same note? Does it sound the same? Do we have some weird vibration, wah, 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 wahs going on? Needs to sound like one saxophone on that, on those last half notes, okay? So if it's not, take out your tuner, see where we're at, see what you need to do to kind of bring them in and adjust. All right, now let's work on the top part, okay? Ready? Both on top. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, excellent job. Let's do it one more time. Still keeping an ear out on where things are. Make sure you're slurring where you're supposed to. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, excellent job. This time you stay on this top part. I'm gonna play the bottom part just like before. We're gonna really listen to what it sounds like with our chords, because we are playing a chord when we're divided, and then what it sounds like when we're in unison. It needs to still sound like one saxophone. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. excellent job. So those are just things we kind of have to get used to, is hearing when you have divided parts and unison parts, and how to still remain in tune and not get any weird frequencies, okay? So just make sure you take some time with your tuner, and hopefully you have an opportunity to play with a person in person so you can really take time to listen, adjust, because when you're playing with other people, it makes such a big difference of who's changing what, how do you match, where do you go, you know, those kind of things. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to exercise number 2, technique break. And this is where we are going to see the simile marking on line 2 there. So continue playing in the same manner. So what does that mean? Is that just because it's all 8th notes? Well, it's a little bit more than that. So line 1, you can see that there is articulation markings, right? Ta, 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 ta. But on line 2 and forward, it doesn't have those markings. But simile, continue playing in the same manner, which means we are going to play with those same articulations throughout the whole piece. Okay? So let's go ahead and just give this a try, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, excellent job. So I know you might have not done the articulations quite yet, but hopefully you can at least hear that I did. So I kept those slurs and those tonguings from line 1 and basically copy and pasted that articulation for the rest, okay? So that's what we're gonna do this time, if you didn't before. And I'm gonna speed this up a little bit because this is at a more of a moderate pace. I just wanted us to get used to doing those articulations when it wasn't like marked like that, it just had the simile, okay? All right, here we go. A little faster, and make sure you do the articulations all the way through. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, excellent job. I think that's all we need for that one. If you need more practice or want to do more practice, I always encourage it anyway. All right, let's take a look at exercise 3, rig-a-jig-jig. All right, still in the G major key signature, but you can see that we have some accidentals in line 2. Also, speaking of line 2, we also have a time signature change. So we're going to start in 2-4, 1, 2, 1, 2, and in the middle of the piece, it shifts over to 6-8. So this is where you really have to pay attention because your conductor, they're already conducting in 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, right? But when they're doing 6-8, they're still conducting in 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So we have to really pay attention to that, okay? So also we have to pay attention to when we first come in, we have the rest, and we're resting on 2, coming in on the and, okay? So 1, 2, da, 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 right? Just coming on the end. It's like a pickup note, pretty much. That's the way it's going to feel. Okay, we are still at the moderate pace, so we're not running off the rails going crazy here. We do have some dynamic markings in here, starting mezzo piano when we go to 6/8, we're then to mezzo forte. This round, I'm not going to worry about dynamic markings. I just want us to get a feel for when we come in, rhythms, switching over to 6/8. Let's start with this with the metronome, because this one has an easy one to you feel like you want to swing it a little bit or change up the rhythms. So I'm going to have us do the metronome on this one, okay? I'm only doing it 72 just so we could get a feel for it. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, excellent job. So there's a little bit of a push-pull between 2/4 and 6/8, right? Like 2/4 kind of feels like it's slow, even though our tempo remained the same, right? Yes. All right, let's do it again. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. Let's do 80. This time we're going to add in the dynamics, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, excellent job. So I think that's good for now. Use your metronome. We're kind of at a moderate pace here. And then just kind of take away the metronome. All right. All right, let's go ahead and move on to exercise 4, technique break. Okay, this is moving up in a chromatic kind of way. So you can see moving up, we're using sharps. Coming down, we're using flats. Okay, and that's just because when we're doing something chromatic, well, it makes sense to use sharps going up, since sharps go up a half step, keep it up, and using flats going down, since it's down a half step, right? The book wants us to use the alternative F sharp G flat fingering. I'm a big advocate on using what you feel more comfortable with, just because the book says we need to. In my opinion, doesn't mean that that's what we should always do. Plus, your music's not always going to tell you when to use the alternative key. So we kind of need to start making our own decisions on when we feel is appropriate to use the alternative fingerings. If you're unsure which way works better, play it with traditional fingerings, and then try it with the alternative fingerings, and then see which one feels better for you. Make that decision yourself. That's what I feel. I feel like we should make that decision ourselves and what will make more sense for us. All right, so we also have the word simile in here, right? So going up, we have articulation markings with staccatos and slurs. Going down, those aren't marked in, but we are supposed to do the same kind of articulations. We do have a repeat in here as well. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and give this a try. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, excellent job. It's a little challenging with the articulations not marked in, right? This is where you kind of just have to get used to the tonguing pattern. Ta, 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 ta. And sometimes even just doing that helps. Just doing articulations only. And then kind of just doing it on a little bit on repeat. So ta, 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 da, da, da. Right? Because then that helps. I'm not thinking about fingerings. I'm not thinking about my air. I'm literally just thinking of tonguing. Okay, that's what I want to get used to. So then when I add other things, it doesn't feel so dramatic, right? It doesn't feel like I'm trying to remember the fingerings, especially seeing sharps, then seeing flats. Where do I breathe? The repeat. And now I have to remember the articulations that's not marked in. I don't want to feel overwhelmed. Okay, so start with just the tonguing. All right, let's go ahead and do it again though. Let's go a little bit faster because this is allegretto. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, excellent job. This is a good one to keep practicing, not only for your articulations, but just because it's that chromatic kind of technique, I guess. It is the chromatic, and the chromatic scale is something that we need to know anyway. So make sure you come back to this one and practice it. Get comfortable with it. It'll make your chromatic scales later a lot easier. All right, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know down in the comments. While you're down there, don't forget to hit like, notify, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our practices. Thanks for joining, and until next time.